Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the fact that Ryan Garcia may fight Sean O'Malley in boxing. Now, if you don't know, there's been a lot of internet beef between these two over the past month. We've had Sean O'Malley go on countless podcasts and talk crap about Ryan Garcia and how he beat him. And honestly, I don't see it happening when it comes to boxing. Obviously, Sean O'Malley is, a super genius when it comes to promoting himself. That's something he's really, prided himself on, is being a very marketable fighter in the UFC, which is very smart for him. A lot of these, UFC fighters are not marketable at all, or even boxing. Like a guy like Devin Haney, the only reason, he's getting these fights is because, he's the champ, he's really good, but he's not a marketable, fighter or boxer, and that's kind of why the pay-per-view sales and the seating in New York were low and not getting sold out. Also, it was a $90 pay-per-view and it had no good fights on it besides Garcia versus Haney. But when we talk about this, Ryan Garcia actually called out Sean O'Malley today. He called him out an hour ago at the time of me recording this. He said, quote, "Rainbow caca brain wants to box. Be prepared to bleed rainbow." And now that's obviously, in reference to Sean O'Malley. And he even put a graphic, I'll put up on the screen, of him, boxing Sean O'Malley, Garcia versus O'Malley, which he got off Happy Punch, who, I don't know who owns Happy Punch, but he is definitely, in the realm of, he knows he can make a lot of money off that fight. Sean O'Malley's definitely a bigger name than, Devin Haney, and Garcia's name is just continuing to build. This guy's what is he, 24-1 or something like that? He's only lost to Tank Davis, and that's a pretty good loss to have. And even then, Tank isn't a great fighter in the sense of, he is a great fighter, don't get me wrong, but what's really sucks about Tank, he makes guys absolutely get drained when they go down to fight him. They always have to cut weight. If you ever saw Ryan Garcia when he fought Tank, he literally had no chin. He had no fat at all. He was complete skin and bones. It's kind of like watching Conor McGregor when he used to be at a lightweight, a very lightweight, featherweight, I believe it was. He was so skinny, he had to move up a weight class, go to lightweight, where he could really be his prime self. Obviously, he was double champ and everything. But when you talk about a guy like Garcia, he really wants to fight at 147, if not heavier. 147 is what he wants to be at. He is a 140 fight against Haney. He missed weight by 3 pounds, so there's always that chance. And I do believe if it's 147, I think it's maybe 148. They get for a fight because it's not for the belt or anything at 147, so it would be, or it may be an exhibition match because I don't think Sean O'Malley is gonna really care. He's not a boxer. He's more just UFC, but this would be more a celebrity fight in a way like we had with McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, which was awful. But I do think this would be a lot closer fight that people would give credit to Sean O'Malley. This is one of the best strikers in the UFC. He is super, he's super good on his feet. His defense would be suspect. It'd be very hard, for him to be, he's not usually a guy when he's fighting in the UFC that, usually is super up close. When he's in a fight, he usually is, just a couple feet away, striking distance, and he really has a great amount of, he usually has more height than most of the guys he fights in his division because he's featherweight, and then he also is a guy who just doesn't go to the ground much because that's not where he excels. He's just a really good striker overall. But when you talk about Ryan Garcia, he's definitely a guy who's going to get up in, Sean O'Malley's face, try to get that left hook, because his left hook is actually insane. If you don't know, if you're just a UFC viewer, or maybe you don't know about Sean O'Malley as much because you're just a boxing fanatic. Anyways, I think UFC is much better in my opinion. But when we talk about this fight, I think Ryan Garcia wins this, 8 out of 10 times. I do think there is a small chance, Sean O'Malley does go in there and win. Boxing is longer usually than UFC. I mean, UFC is 3 rounds, 5 minutes each round, unless it's a championship level fight, which Sean O'Malley did have one against Cheeto Vera, which was 5 rounds, 5 minutes, so that was 25 minutes total. he kind of got gassed by the end. Cheeto Vera just doesn't get knocked out. He has that, but he got dominated by Sean. Sean was just landing so many sig strikes on him, and it was mostly, with that striking ability he has. It was really surprising that Cheeto Vera didn't get knocked out, but I think with Ryan Garcia is on top of the world right now. If you give him Sean O'Malley in any sort of a boxing fight, that would be utterly ridiculous for him. I think, there's no way that Ryan Garcia loses right now. And I think, give him a guy like Sean O'Malley, that's definitely not as good at boxing as Devin Haney is. I would say Sean O'Malley is definitely going to have more confidence, be more gutsy in the ring, definitely going to be willing to go for some more tricky, hard-hitting shots on Garcia where he leaves himself more vulnerable. But if you leave yourself vulnerable against Garcia, it's not going to end well. I mean, this guy, when Devin Haney left himself vulnerable, he got knocked out. He didn't get knocked out. He got knocked down like 3 times, but it should have been knocked down like 20 times because the ref was utterly ridiculous letting him hang on to Garcia like the whole entire fight. This man would basically be like head to what, and it looked like he was getting something, but he was basically hanging on for dear life on the Garcia, and that was just utterly ridiculous. I don't know. I heard boxing's pretty rigged a lot of the time. I'm kind of understanding at that point. Like, Garcia, demolished him, and some judge ruled it like 112 to 112, which was ridiculous. But when you talk about Sean O'Malley versus Garcia, that'd be a really hyped up fight. I don't like it a lot for Sean O'Malley. I think he needs to stick to UFC right now, keep his, win streak going, keep defending his belt, and then perhaps, go fight a guy like Ilia Topuria eventually after he fights, Max Holloway. It's just, I think that's something better for Sean O'Malley to do. Stick to UFC. You don't need to be worrying about these boxers. Boxing, at the end of the day, is a dying sport. UFC's on the rise. I think you keep adding to the UFC, keep adding value, and when you look at it, don't give boxing any more room to grow. It doesn't need it. It's better off just let it die. Let UFC take over, especially in America. That's where all the money's at, and I think that's what they need to focus on. And Sean O'Malley gets all the pay-per-view money, like when he's the headliner, even though he's willing to take co-mains for pay-per-view. Like, he wanted to be on the Conor McGregor card and UFC 303 and just be the guy who is on the co-main and fight whoever for his belt, and that would have been like 2 5-round fights, which would have been great. But he's probably going to get the spear unless the octagon is smaller. So it's going to be interesting to see. But let me know what you guys think of that. Should Sean O'Malley and Ryan Garcia fight? Let me know in the comments. Peace.